Learn how to create, sustain, and scale up your print-on-demand business with the latest tips, guides, and strategies to help you start selling and making money today. Welcome to the Sales on Demand Show. And here's your host, Adam Schneider.
Oh, wait. What? That's me. Oh, that's me. Hey, guys. It's Adam Schneider, your host. Like the man says, this is the Sales on Demand Show. And today I've got something pretty awesome to talk about with you guys. But first, no, I'm kidding. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, and all of the podcasters that I've ever listened to have a funny way to segue into advertising. So one of my favorite podcasters, he always says, but first. So thought I'd throw that out there. Anyway, episode 18. What are we going to talk about today? Well, I got something really, really sweet for you guys today. I want to talk about time management skills, and I'm going to share with you a few secrets of Facebook ads that I'm using to rank Amazon listings. This is high-level stuff, guys. So if you're thinking, oh my God, Facebook ads rank Amazon rankings, or Amazon listings, I'm freaking out here, man. Don't freak out, man. Don't worry about it. You don't need to do this. It's just something that I am doing, and it's working really well as kind of a high-level thing to really push the boundaries of what's possible on Amazon. So let's start with the vital time management skills. So I wanted to talk about time management skills because I perceive that this is one of the things that people have the most difficulty with in the beginning. I see a ton of new people. There's lots of new people coming into this business, and they always inevitably get distracted with useless things. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, trying to steer them back, and I'm like, oh no, you don't need to worry about that. Just hold on. Holding out my digital fingers and putting comments on their panicky posts on Facebook and say, oh wait, hang on, don't worry about that. You don't need to worry about that yet. That's not even a problem. So I thought I'd talk about some of these time management skills and how to make the most of the time that we have. Just like they say in the movies, make the most of your time. Do they say that in the movies? Probably. Some movie. Probably a movie like The Notebook. So, the first thing I want to talk about is the 80-20 principle. If you are a fan of Stephen Covey, who I think this book came out years and years ago, decades ago, I think. I was not even in high school when this book came out. Honestly, the book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, came out so long ago, and yet nobody I've ever run into really remembers what it was about. They just kind of know one or two of the 7 habits. So I'm going to share with you my favorite habit, and that is the 80-20 principle. This is dead on true, absolutely 100% true, no matter what you're doing. If you're washing dishes, that's your job, this is true for you, okay? Now the principle is, and I've said this before, of course, but just in case you didn't hear it, if this is your first time listening, 80% of your time produces 20% of your effort, and inversely, it's 20% of your effort that produces 80% of your results, okay? Now, I think I said that weird, but the principle is that everybody has a limited amount of time, right? So the greatest things that you will ever do, the things that bring you the most benefit, the things that are most effective for your business, effective in your life, are only 20% of your time. 80% of your time is spent doing useless or mostly useless things. And the same is true for this kind of business, for print on demand and building up your business. Most people spend 80% of their time doing just completely worthless, useless, pointless things. So, what are those things, you ask? Well, here we go. Let's go through some of the things that I've seen people do that are absolutely pointless to worry about. So, a little while ago, I saw a guy who started doing print on demand, and I could tell that this guy was like a super high-end designer because he was talking about color monitor, what was it, coordination or something, like making your computer monitor the right color scheme or matching it with your design software. And I thought, what in the name of all things good and pure are you talking about, bud? You don't need to do that. Here's the colors you need: black, white, maybe red, blue once in a while, pink if you're really pushing it. That's about it. So, color selection, black on white. Or, if you're doing a black mug or a t-shirt, white on black. Or any other pale color on black. So, color selection is definitely one of those things. And getting your monitor to match the colors. Oh, he was talking about RGB and CYK. I don't even know what he was talking about. I know it has to do with the printing method. And he was like, what kind of printing method does Gearbubble use? And how can I match my computer monitor to that? And we were all like, dude, black. Black is the color that you need. Black is the new black. Orange is not the new black. Black is the new black. Black text on a white mug is what sells best on Amazon. Etsy, black fancy text on a white mug is what sells, for me at least, mostly. I do have some images that I've sort of photoshopped a little bit, and I put text beside it. You can do that if you really want to. Some people like that, but honestly, start simple. So the second thing that people get really panicky about is font selection. People are like, what's the best font I can use? And I understand this a little bit more because I'm a little bit the same way. I want my stuff to look unique. Now, I know for a fact that there is a guy out there, and I mentioned his name last week, and I'll mention it again. His name is Bank. And this guy uses one font, Arial, the most boring font ever. But this is living proof, guys, that what I told you before is true. The phrase sells. The font is secondary. So this guy is making a ton of money on Amazon. Now, he has 54,000 listings, or maybe even higher now. But he's still making a lot of money. And he's doing it with Arial font. And maybe he's using some other different fonts. I don't know. The last I heard was that he was just using one font. He pays a virtual assistant. That is somebody that is not close to him, but he pays them digitally. He pays them to create these designs using a phrase, or that maybe they research their own phrase. I'm not even sure how he does it, but he reached 54,000 listings. And he just pays someone to create them and then upload them. And they sell. Now, I have similar looking sales to him, and I don't have 54,000 listings. I have like 10% of that. So font selection can make a difference, I think. But here's the trick. Don't get really panicky about this. Just pick a font that looks good. Now, I'm going to put a link in the show notes about a tool that can help you pair up fonts. Because apparently, and I only learned this like last week, I had no idea. It shows you how much of a guy I am, that I didn't know that there were certain fonts that look good together. So apparently that's a thing. So you can pick two fonts that look good together and just use those fonts. And what I always tell people is make the keyword distinct. If it's like a gift to your dad, make the word dad stand out. That way when people are seeing it scroll past them on a search, they'll be like, oh, dad, I see that word in there. And if there is two sections to the phrase, separate them maybe with a different font. So what's an example of this? I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head. It's like, I know you're my dad and I love you. but your farts smell just terrible. Okay, that was a terrible example, but you get my point because there's kind of two sections to that. So, by the way, if you want to steal that phrase and try it out, you have my permission. Use it. People love that kind of stupid fart humor. I don't know. But there's two sections to that. So there's the introduction and kind of the punchline. So make them different fonts maybe. Separate them by a little space. See how that works. But try a bunch of different things, guys. And don't get caught up on one design trying to make the font look perfect, because time is not your friend when you're wasting time on font selection. Maybe take like 10 seconds to be like, oh, let's pick a different font for this word here. All right, now this third thing in the 80-20 principle, this is the 80% of things that is not going to bring you good results or quick results, is adding keywords to your Amazon listings on the back end. So if you're part of the low-hanging system, or if you're part of any other training program that teaches you how to use Amazon, you'll know that Amazon listings are complicated creatures. So you can add keywords, you can add photos, you can do all kinds of things to listings. Sometimes Amazon will lock your listings, and then you have to contact them to change it. And once in a while, you might want to change a listing that's doing really well and add some keywords to it to see if it'll do even better. But generally speaking, to go back to listings that you've already created, if they have no sales, adding more keywords to the back end is generally not going to help you. And I talked about this last week, and the reason is that there were only like 5 or 6 keywords for each product that are really relevant. So adding a bunch of useless keywords does not make the product more, maybe it'll appear, but it's not going to sell better. Because if somebody does a search and they find your product based on a keyword that you added to your back end that is on a special spot in the listing, not in the title, if it doesn't relate to the product and it's not what they're looking for, it doesn't matter that it showed up in their search. In fact, it's going to hurt you because it's going to reduce your conversion rate. And your conversion rate is how many people see it versus how many people buy it. So let's say that 50 people see it and 1 person buys it. Your conversion rate is 2%, okay? You divide the purchasers by the number of views. So if you ever want to find out what your conversion rate is, you can actually go into your reports on Amazon. And I highly recommend that you get to know that reports screen really well, because that report screen is going to give you lots and lots and lots of data on what people are looking at in your listing, in your inventory, I guess I should say. So that is useful. But adding more keywords to a product, put them in the title or don't bother. Because not only do you dilute the value of the good keywords, the back-end keywords on Amazon really don't have a lot of weight. And they're more for these, high-end products like Nike, shoes, where you want people to associate basketball with them, or soccer or sports or something like that. Like those kinds of products on Amazon will probably have a lot of keywords in the back end that people add to say, if someone's searching for, soccer shoes, my thing will come up. Or if they're looking for basketball or whatever, it'll come up in a search for that product. But, these print-on-demand designs are very narrowly focused. And they're not, you don't want them to come up on these searches. So, adding basketball shoes to the back end is really useless. There's nothing to do with that. So, stop adding keywords to your back end and don't worry about it. What I usually do, and I'll say this again till I'm blue in the face, is I will create the listing and I will make the title of the file the title of the product that I want. Then as I'm uploading it on GearBubble, I copy and paste the name of the file into the keyword section, and that is all I do. Then I click upload to Amazon, and that is it. I'm done. So the fourth thing that is part of the 80% of useless activities would be fiddling with title keywords. And this kind of relates to what I was just talking about with your back-end keywords. There's people that I see and they're like, well, how do I go in and add more keywords to products I've already created? So the only reason that this would ever be useful, or that you should ever consider doing that, is if you have a product that looks like it's getting some views, maybe has a sale or two here, but it's got a really short title and you're like, well, I want to add a few more keywords in there that definitely do relate to the title, but I was just an idiot when I created this and I didn't add them in. And I've done that. I have a product literally with 4 words in the title, and 2 of those words are gift coffee mug. So it's actually sold 3-4 times on Amazon, so I thought, you know what, I need to go back in there and add a few more relevant keywords, because I think this could sell better if I had a few more words in the title that related to what was on the mug. So I did that, and I haven't seen any results from it yet, but again, you never know what's going to happen. Only do things that make sense when you see results from something already. So if a product has no sales and nobody's seeing it, then it's a dud. Move on. Either remake it with a new design, or use a different phrase, or word the phrase a little differently, or something like that. But don't spend time on a design that's not making any sales, because it's not going to help you. I've never seen it help anybody. It's never helped me. It's just not worth it. So, now the last thing I want to tell you about the 80% principle, adding more photos. Now this relates to both Amazon and Etsy. So Etsy titles are a little bit different, and I talked about that. If you're wondering how I would craft an Etsy title, there is a podcast episode way back in the sort of beginning where I talk about my Etsy store and how I'd set it up in the Getting Started section. Go and listen to that, because I don't want to rehash that. It's complicated, a little bit more complicated than Amazon. But some people will sit there and they'll add photos. They'll add more pictures of the product, and they will add really fancy looking photos. So we call them mock-ups, and it's basically you take a blank mug or a t-shirt and you Photoshop your design, or you use software to put the design on it and you upload that. And the idea is that people it'll catch people's eye a little bit more. I have not seen results from doing that. The only time I've ever done that is to run Facebook ads or Google Shopping ads. Sometimes if people are scrolling on Facebook and they see something that's a little fancier, or if it's Christmas time, if you're using a Christmas themed or Valentine's Day, that might help. But again, the 80% of things that produce 20% of your results, don't spend a ton of time doing that. Take your best sellers and add some more photos to those ones. That might help. But don't sit there and be like, I need to add 10 photos to every single listing. You will literally go crazy. It is not productive. So that brings us to the 20%. So what's in the 20%? Well, I'll tell you. If you're a new seller, here are the 2 things that are going to bring you the most results. Absolutely the most results for your time spent doing it. Okay, number 1, researching new phrases. And 2, listing new designs. Well, that was a short. That's as hard as it gets, guys. Just keep adding new designs. Now, there's a lady named Jen, and she's in a Facebook group that I'm part of. And this lady was on fire last Christmas. So every day during the sort of Christmas crazy rush, she would come on to Facebook and she'd be like, all right, you're going to add 5 new products today. And she would challenge everybody to go out there, research 5 new ideas, and add them as new products. And for her, it was for Etsy, because Etsy during Christmas is just nuts. If you have a good selling item on Etsy, it can be Like, it can sell really, really well. So she was always challenging, and Etsy loves that. Etsy likes it when you're adding new stuff all the time. Amazon doesn't really care. I've not noticed anything on Amazon that would prove that adding new listings on Amazon actually helps you rank higher for your other listings. Some people have speculated. I know Rachel Raffay, the creator of the low-hanging system, has told her students for a long time that adding new listings on Amazon helps rank your other listings higher. I've not seen anything that would prove that, so I don't think it's true. However, the best way to find new ideas that will sell is obviously to create new designs. Like, it's just so obvious to me that this is the way to grow your business that I'm not sure why people even argue about this. And it's free to do it. You do not need special software. You do not need design skills of any real great shakes. You can use simple apps on your phone. You can use PicMonkey. On my phone, I use an app called, the heck is it called? WordSwag? Yeah, it's called WordSwag. I think it costs like a couple bucks, but it's a really sweet app. It basically gives you put in a phrase and it gives you a design. And you can say, no, I don't like that design, give me a new one, and then it'll give you a new one. So really, that's what you need to do. That's the 20% right there, guys. Research new phrases and list new designs. So my brother, who is a smart guy, he contacted me. He's been listening to the podcast, which surprised me, but it's encouraging. And he asked me, he said, should I buy the low-hanging system training software? And I said, no, don't buy it. Not yet, anyway. You're not ready for that. And I'll tell you guys the same thing. If you're just getting started in this and you're like, I have no money, just listen to the podcast, research some new phrases, list some new designs. Start slow. But definitely at some point in the future, plan to, get some training and upgrade your skills, because a free podcast can only take you so far. Right? I mean, it's just obvious. It should be obvious to you that, even if I spent, hours on here, I could never possibly give you all of the information that you would need. And I don't have time for that. So that's actually just the first point on my time management skills. And I'm already at 20 minutes here, so I'm going to try and get through this without getting too distracted. So the second thing on time management skills is motivation versus discipline. And this is really important, guys. I need you to listen to what I'm saying and try to absorb it, okay? Everybody talks about not being motivated. I'm not motivated to do this today. I'm not motivated to get up today, okay? Do you think for 1 second that me or all these other people who are achieving excellent results in, selling online, do you think that we're always motivated? I mean, I love podcasting and I like talking, but if you think for 1 second that I'm always motivated to get on here and create a new episode, you are wrong. I am not always motivated. And today, I was laying on my bed and I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably go record my episode. And I got up and I did it. Not because I was motivated, but because I was disciplined to do it. And that is the difference between motivation and discipline. When you discipline yourself to do it, you train yourself to do certain things. And you say, body, mind, listen up. This is what we're doing this week, okay? Whether you're motivated or not, we're going to do this. And you'd be surprised how quickly you develop a habit. So, for example, I am I'm not amazingly strong or anything, but I do love going to the gym. And my daughter and we go to the gym 3 times a week. Now, back in the old days, that would have been tough for me to do, because going to the gym is not always something that I want to do. Yeah, let's go and sweat for 20 minutes and then lift weights and feel the burn. Now, I do love the burn in your arms when you're lifting weights, But running has never been one of those things that I love. And the only way for me to actually do it was to discipline myself and say, this is what I'm going to do. And it becomes a habit. Anything that you do like 21 times regularly, this is what they say. I don't know if it's scientific or not, but they say you do something 21 times and it becomes a habit. And when you do that habit enough, it becomes a discipline. And it's something that's, instead of just being external to you, it's part of who you are. It's like, this is what I do. So motivation is fleeting. Think of it as like your feelings on the subject. But when you train yourself and you set achievable weekly goals, guys, achievable weekly goals. So don't be like, if this is your first week or month selling, don't be like, all right, I'm going to launch 1,000 new listings this week. You're not. Okay, and if you did manage to put out 1,000 listings, they're probably going to be garbage. And I'm not telling you that because I think that you guys are stupid. That's just what I observe from people who are doing these things, right? So motivation is when you feel like doing something. Discipline is you do it no matter how you feel. And you train yourself to do it by setting achievable weekly goals or even daily goals. If you don't have a job or something and this is all you got, man, you are in a good place. You are in a good place because you can spend all day doing this, and maybe you become this, pale white, computer monster that just has a computer screen tan on the front of your face, but you're making a ton of money. That's not me, but some people out there basically spend all day working on the business. So I prefer to have a little bit of balance in the work-life kind of thing, and I suggest that you do that as well, because making money is not the only thing in life that matters, right? You need money because you need to buy food, and you need to put roof over your head and gasoline in the car to make it go in the forward direction. But I mean, life is about relationships with people. So build relationships with people and talk to them about your business. If you're excited about it, you will naturally talk to them about your business. That will help you discipline yourself. You can be like, my goal this week is to do this. And especially on Facebook, this is great. This is why I love the low-hanging system group that I'm part of, because there is a Facebook group and you are able to get in there and set yourself goals. You type it out and say, this is my goal this week, to list 100 designs, right? That's an achievable weekly goal. 100 designs is actually pretty achievable, especially if you have a week to do it. I could probably do that in 2 days, but it would push me a bit. Now, I'm working on other things right now. So the third thing, and the very last thing of time management skills, is get your mind in the game. Now, I just went to church, and the pastor told me this, and if you're not religious, that's fine. I'm going to tell you this anyway, and you're going to either listen to it or you're going to ignore it, but it's true whether or not you're religious. You are most like the 5 people that you spend the most time with. You become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you're spending time with people whose only goal in life is to get drunk every weekend and go to Cancun, or they're thinking about the fun things to do in life. And you know what? Fun things are great, but that's not the whole point of life. You become like those people and you start thinking like that. And I've noticed that with me. If I don't spend a lot of time thinking about my business, my business suffers as a result of that because I stopped working on it. So the way that I achieve a mental focus and I get my mind in the game is I listen to podcasts. I have a lot of podcasts that I listen to, and I spend time with people and I talk about my business. And part of that is actually this podcast right here. And this podcast is kind of one of the places that I set my achievable weekly or monthly goals, and I push myself to do it. But you don't need a podcast to do that. You just need a mentor. And a mentor could be anybody. It could be, it could be a Facebook group, a coaching group, or anything like that. But you need something outside of yourself that drags you forward and pushes you forward. You got to put your mind in the game. And to do that, you need people around you who build that mental focus. So that is it for time management, guys. I feel like I barely scratched the surface, but we just hit 30 minutes, and I don't like to go beyond that because I just don't feel like I want to waste your time with a bunch of blah, blah, blah. However, I am going to tell you one thing that's really pretty sweet. So I have been working on a piece of software, and I can't tell you what it is. I literally cannot. Anyway, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm using Facebook ads to promote my FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon, coffee mugs in preparation for Mother's Day. And this is my test. So come Mother's Day and, the weeks before Mother's Day, people will be shopping on Amazon and Etsy, and they're going to be looking for sweet gifts to give to their lovely mothers. And coffee mugs are pretty popular. It's basically all I sell because they're easy to source, they are easy to design, and I know them really well. T-shirts are maybe a second kind of thing, but mothers also love gift cards. Mothers love wine glasses. Those sell really well. And tank tops and water bottles and leggings, pillowcases. I mean, all of these things can be great gifts for your mom. That's just that I don't have time to expand to all of those things quite yet. So what I've been doing is I've been using Facebook ads to try and generate more sales for products that have been kind of lagging behind a bit. So I have a couple of mom-themed coffee mugs that I just haven't been able to get them moving. And I thought, well, I need to build a system. And I didn't invent this, okay? So I'm not going to take credit for coming up with this idea. This is actually pretty common in the Amazon world. Mostly, though, people do it with private label products. Very few people I've ever seen have been doing this with print on demand. So I'm hoping to be kind of a pioneer in this area and develop or at least perfect a system that makes this work really well. So here's what I'm trying to do, okay? I'll give you the overview, the 100-foot overview. I am building an email list. And my email list is going to be people interested in receiving discounts on products. That's really it, okay? I don't care if they like dogs, cats, birds, mom, dad, whatever. I just want to build an email list, and when it gets big enough, email lists are fantastic. And you know why? It's because there's something that you own. It's people who have agreed to let you contact them by email. And it costs nothing to send them an email. Like you just sit there and hammer out an email, boom, here you go. Here's another product that I'm offering a discount on. 50% discount, guys. Buy it today. It's Mother's Day in, 4 or 5 weeks. Get your product now and it'll be shipped in time for Mother's Day. So I'm working on building this email list, and I'm kind of working through the little kinks of it. Nobody that I am aware of that I know personally is doing this. So I am literally working from a point of no idea what I'm doing. And it's kind of scary, and I know I'm going to make some mistakes, but I am seeing results. And I did see, because I launched my Facebook ad a couple of days ago, and I got nothing on it. It was just dead, just crickets. But I went into the Facebook ad and I made a few changes to who it's targeting. And today, 2 people bought the product through the Facebook ad. So what I'm trying to do and why I'm using Facebook ads is I want Amazon to see that people are buying this product, and I want them to rank it higher. So that's basically it, guys. If you can get people to buy your product, you send them straight to the listing. They buy the product. They don't have to leave a review. In fact, it's better that they don't. But that helps you gain ranking for whatever keyword it is that mug covers. So there's a bunch of different weird things you can do with the links and stuff like that. I'm not going to get into that. I don't even understand it all myself. This piece of software that I'm paying a lot of money for actually does all that for me. But you don't need it. You just need to build an email list, and that costs money. So Facebook ads, I've done a lot of Facebook ads, and I'm pretty familiar with the process. So for me, it was just a matter of getting on there, creating a Facebook ad, and launching it. But I'm very encouraged to see results from this, because the last couple of days I've been looking at the ad and been like, why doesn't anybody want this? What's going on here? So I made a couple of changes, and all of a sudden, boom, it's working. And it's fantastic. So hopefully, by the time Mother's Day hits, I will have enough ranking position on Amazon with a couple of my FBA products that I'm hoping to sell like a box a day at the peak end of each product. And that's an ambitious goal, guys. I know some of you are probably like, I would just like to make one freaking sale, and here you are talking about selling a box a day. Well, you'll get there, okay? If you're still struggling, you're like, man, I haven't even hardly made like 2 sales in the last week. I get that. But listen, you gotta walk before you run, right? I know that's a cliche thing, but it's true. So walk first, and then I'll teach you how to run. And some of the things I'm going to teach you are things that I'm literally learning myself as I'm going through here. But that's why you need a mentor, right? So you can use me as one of those 5 people that you put around you to help keep your mind in that mindset. And I will massage your brain with information and with motivation every week. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys hanging. Once again, I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week, but I always have these grand ideas, the day or two before I put the podcast episode out. So don't you worry. It's going to be great. And with that, guys, have a great day. Cheers.